Hey team, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to take a look at the Fit3d Body Fat percentage, how it was created, and what are the best ways to track client progress over the lifetime of the client. So the body fat percentage, I'll just go into the body fat percentage feature on the report in front of us on the screen. Now Fit3d, essentially their body fat percentage is based on an algorithm. The algorithm is based on the client's age, sex, weight, height, and they've used the 1,200 photos that are taken in the 35-second scan. There's about 450 metrics that are gained from that, and all those metrics are put into a formula to spit out your body fat percentage. Now, that formula itself has been correlated with DEXA body scans, so a DEXA machine used a lot in the hospitals, or medical professionals might use it. And DEXA machines, they're one of the so-called gold standards for body composition testing. One of the issues with DEXA is they're not very mobile. They require specialist expertise, and there's a slight increase in radiation. So that's where Fit3d scanning is a lot more user-friendly in the community. So Fit3d, like many other body composition methods, have correlated their algorithm with DEXA. Now, DEXA itself, just so you're aware, they initially got their body fat percentage algorithm, which DEXA is based on an algorithm, because no one is going inside your body and cutting out all the fat, muscle, and bone. But DEXA did correlate their algorithm with cadaver studies, so dead people, and they correlated their muscle, bone, and fat to create the DEXA algorithm. However, these are algorithms, so nothing is 100% perfect. And what we must recognize with body fat percentage testing, although it would be every trainer or health professional's dream, there is absolutely nothing in the world which is 100% measuring someone's body fat, bone, and muscle. However, there is some methods that are significantly better than others. So some people might say to you, oh, well, as long as I use the same method, then it shouldn't matter. It'll all be comparable. I'd completely disagree with that. Fit3d has come out on top through multiple research studies, so it is more reliable when you're comparing someone over long periods of time than other methods. So what can you expect in terms of what is the variability? So the studies we've done and independent studies that we've seen, so for a body fat percentage of if someone's got, in this example, 20%, for example, then the variability, you could see that person has a body fat percentage of 21 to 23%. So I guess what I'm saying there is day to day would see a variability of 1 to 3% in the body fat percentage metric alone. Now, that significantly beats many other methods. From what we've seen, the research on BIA or electrical current machines, we've seen some of those like in the real world outside of a lab where they're controlling everything. In the real world, you can see variation up to like 10%. So if their body fat was 20%, on the next day it might show them at 30% or it might show them at 10%, which is a huge variability. So Fit3d, you'd expect sort of that 1 to 3%. But just be mindful of that. So that's if conditions are perfect. Be mindful that that can occur when you're making decisions with your client. You don't need to go into great detail with your clients about this, but just be mindful when you are making decisions. With Fit3d, what can affect the reliability of that body fat percentage and all your results, really? So with Fit3d, you need to control the posture that the client stands in. So straight arms, being in a relaxed posture, looking straight ahead, and breathing gently are some key things. The other thing is the client must be wearing minimal clothing. So underwear is strongly recommended, or sports bra and underwear or G-string. Tights or boxes or loose things can affect your results. Other things that affect your results with Fit3d, movement during the scan, trying to suck in, trying to push out, all these little things can affect your results, sometimes a significant amount. So if you control those things, just by getting the client to practice the scan position in their clothes before you leave them in the room by themselves, and educating them on what they should be wearing in advance of them coming in for their scan, then you should be fine and be able to get reliable results over time. Whereas if you're using other methods like bioimpedance, for example, then how much your hydration status or where you are in your menstrual cycle or the time of day, what you've eaten and drunk can have a huge impact on results. The day-to-day variability in that could be, as I said earlier, it could be up to 10% on the body fat percentage scale. So if you're actually 20%, it could show you at 30% or 10%. So yeah, Fit3d, it can be very reliable, but just being aware of what are the small things or the detail to how to get reliable scans. So knowing that Fit3d body fat percentage alone is not perfect, on the screen right now, the body fat percentage is 21.83. Now, this is directly linked to the fat mass in kilograms and the lean mass. So 21.83% of 79.9 kilos is 17.5 kilos, and the remainder is lean mass. Now, we know that the Fit3d lean mass is mainly made up of muscle. However, water mass is included in that, and things like bone, ligaments, discs, etc. as well. So you will see some slight day-to-day variability in lean mass too, so expect that. Do not put all your eggs in one basket when you're working with a client. Most clients are really obsessed with body fat percentage these days. However, if you just track body fat percentage as your main metric, you are 100% going to get disappointed at some stage in the training and exercise or nutrition journey. So yeah, you need to educate your client on using a few different metrics to track progress. Now, what are the main metrics? So this is mainly looking at body composition. The main metrics you might track would be, yes, body fat percentage, yes, weight. But in terms of, I'm just going to go into a comparison report. You should definitely be tracking over time their 3D images. So if you can visually see, like in this example, their first scan on the left, most recent on the right, if you can visibly see changes, that's a positive thing, particularly around the waist region. And you should also be tracking their overlay images and showing them, especially if they've got good overlay, showing them the overlay images. If their body fat percentage page is not changing much and their overlay images are not changing at all, then it's pretty clear that they haven't made significant progress. The other metrics you should be using are waist circumference, which I've highlighted in the top right. There's a strong relationship between waist circumference, visceral fat, and cardiovascular disease risk. So it's 100% a number you should be tracking over time for someone wanting to improve their body composition and health. Again, you can, of course, show your client the difference in waist circumference in a graph over time. The final number you'd want to track in terms of metrics for those wanting to lose weight or body fat would be body shape rating. So we also know that those with a lower body shape rating, particularly under 30, have a significant increased risk of multiple health problems, and those with a higher body shape rating, particularly over 55, 60, have significantly less risk. Okay, so yes, you might use your body fat percentage, weight, but also use your body shape rating and waist. They'd be the 4 metrics combined with the 3D images and overlay, and how you should be tracking progress for making decisions on, is this regime or is this intervention working for my client or not? Now, if you have a client, so that's mainly talking about weight loss and body fat loss. If you have a client that wants to gain lean mass or gain muscle bulk or get bigger, for example, the main things that we'd be looking at, yes, it might be tempting to only look at lean mass, but remember there is some day-to-day variability in that. So you're only going to disappoint a client if you just focus on that. But lean mass would be one. Our suggestion would be definitely track circumference measurements. So go into the comparison section, click on measurements. Now, if they're trying to get big, you probably don't want them to get big around their stomach. If they are, they're probably putting on fat, because it's not, the muscles around the stomach region don't generally get big in size unless there's fat there. So make sure the waist is not going up. I'd be tracking that for a client who wants to get bigger. I'd also be tracking their arms, so their left and right biceps. In this particular example with this client, you'll see that their bicep circumference has generally got less. So they were trying to lose weight. If you're trying to gain weight, you'd want this to be going up. The same in legs. If they're doing weight training on their legs and you want to see, is that effective in combination with what their nutrition regime is. In this particular example, both thighs are down 2.5 centimeters over time, and they've sort of gone a bit up and down in terms of size. If you're trying to increase the size of a client and get bigger, you'd want these to go up. The other thing I would be aware of, whether you're wanting a client to trim up or get bigger, particularly get bigger, I'd go into the 3 horizontal line icon on the dashboard, and then there'll be an option to click on Scan History, and you can download a whole lot of additional measurements in there. The key things to look at on there would be the volume of one leg versus the volume of the other, and the same arm volume and torso volume. And if you've got a client wanting to get bigger, you'd be wanting to see, hey, are these arms and leg volumes getting bigger? And is the torso staying the same? So both in terms of weight loss and body fat loss, in terms of getting bigger, you should be using these holistic metrics to make this more informed decisions about, is this training regime working for your client or not? And then you can educate the client and make decisions from there. As I said, I strongly do not recommend only using the body fat percentage page alone to track progress. If you only use this page alone, at some stage, you're going to have a disappointed client. Anyway, I hope some of those things assist you in terms of making decisions with clients. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email, peter@healthandfitnesstesting.nz. Cheers.